All right. In this video, I want to talk about a strategy that I look at as like not just part of my tool belt as a teacher, but kind of one of the more essential parts, something that has been transformative in terms of getting students' voices to be a part of our classroom community. You can call it a one word whirl around or whip around. I've heard whatever you want to call it, but basically every student is going to share one thing, and then you can go from there. So I'm going to talk through in this video what it is. I'm going to share several different examples, and then I'm going to elaborate a little bit about why I find it so meaningful. This is a simple thing, but it's something that I have seen and heard from teachers that they saw it once tried in their classroom in classes where students were not talking or certain students refused to participate, started jumping in. And I think if you're going into a new school year, especially, putting this on your tool belt, planning into your lessons can be a really valuable thing to build the foundation for the class you want to have as the year proceeds. So, in terms of the basics, the first part, and the part that sometimes I think is easy to not plan for, is you want to, in my experience, give students a set of options to choose from. So you've asked them a question, maybe they've read something, maybe you've done an activity, and they are going to write down a simple answer, one word if possible. Now you might have them elaborate. That's, you can see step B, like you want them to explain their answer, but there should be a provided set of answers, agree or disagree, 1 through 5, a collection of words. I'm going to show you samples of this. Every student is given time, and this is the step 2 that sometimes gets skipped. You don't just want to rush into sharing. Give them time to write down their answer. You can make sure, kind of monitor that every student has an answer. And then you're going to call on every student by name. And one of the reasons I love this is it helps me get to know students' names really early on. So I use this strategy pretty much every lesson for the first few weeks with 180-ish students on the roster. And then from there, hey, now everyone's shared, share with your partner, share with your group. If you want to give like a kind of a Kagan structure, assign the partners like, hey, person with smallest desk number sharing first, 3, 2, 1, go. But like that's the sequence. Provide the options, have them pick one and write down their explanation, call on everyone to share out their one-word answer throughout the room. It takes a little bit, right? You got a class of 30, 35 students. It's going to take a little bit. Then move into that debrief. So some samples. So these are slides. I just copied and pasted them from lessons this past year. You can see they're from different units because I have different templates for each unit. So here's one. It was just an agree or disagree one in terms of how they feel about an essential question. They wrote a number 1 to 7. We use 1 to 7 in our classroom for agree, disagree. And after they wrote 1 to 7, they gave their reasonings, but I'm going around the room and all I'm saying is like, Joey, 2. And I repeat the number back to make sure it's clear. So I say, Joey says 2. I say 2. And then I call the next person, Alicia, 3. Okay, Alicia said 3. Move on. And I'm doing this very quickly. I'm in my head kind of keeping track of what the numbers are, but your goal is you're calling on every single student. They're sharing that simple answer. And then, of course, if you're in partners, okay, whoever had the highest number, give your reason why, go. Okay, other person, go. So then they're going to that debrief that they've already written down. Another example of this with an essential question lesson at the end. So this is at the end of the lesson. We had read an article, an opinion piece by Skenazy. I have 5 options where they were saying, they basically gave them a sentence starter. I fully support ... all the way to I strongly disagree. And they explained it. But all I did going around the room, and I guess this is a 2-word whirl around, is I had them share out what they said. So partially agree, conflicting thoughts. And I actually on this one probably am like keeping tabs. Like I've got like a little note so I can see what the range of responses are. But every student's perspective is going to be heard. Every student will hear their name. And then of course, that then leads into group debriefs. And then in this lesson, because this is later in the school year, whole class conversation from there. But we started with this written reflection. I provided the options. You can see in bold what's named. This is great for language, for students who are struggling from a language skill set in your classroom. So I've provided that. Another one that's a really easy one that you can use without a lot of planning is how do you feel about blank? thumbs up, sideways, or down. I sometimes do this without writing. So just like, okay, everyone hold, we do like fists in front of you. I'm going to count down. I give them the question. They think about their answer, and then I count down, and they do that with their groups. But you can also just say, okay, I'm thumbs up, sideways, or down, and go around the classroom and say, those are your three options. So that's a kind of a more physical one that you can do. A fourth one that I use a lot is, hey, go back to this page as an ELA teacher. Whatever we read, write down one word that sticks out for like, what's the big idea word for this page? This is a page about love. This is a page about respect. Give your explanation. And then we go around the room and share those words. And then, of course, they debrief. This one's from the graphic novel. They called us Enemy, but you could do this with anything you read, is just having them summarize or capture the big idea in one word. There's your one word. The only difference here is that I have not provided them, but that is a scaffold. You could just say, here are 8 words to choose from or 6 words to choose from, which I do earlier in the year. And then I moved to this. And then this is actually what I did. I was showing this lesson, this skill set to adults, and I asked them about AI. So this is their opening question. I went around adults and PD, had them each share their word. Or the other thing is you can always let them choose their own word. They did their explanation, and we proceeded from there. So you can use this in any format. I use this in my AP courses. I use this in my like normal sophomore English courses. I've used this with freshmen and incoming high school students. I've used this with adults. It works in pretty much every format. But here's really where I'm coming from. It really matters that every student's voice is heard by not just you, but everyone in the classroom. And building this and other strategies like this into your teaching makes that possible. It's very low lift too. And those students who are a little bit more reluctant, oftentimes like saying that one word aloud whole class, like that's a big win. And those students who maybe that's the only thing they'll say whole class, even first semester, now they're raising their hand second semester potentially. And you're building a pathway for that to happen. But every student also is hearing their name, you saying their name, in terms of getting to know each other and building a classroom community, and also holding you accountable. I've had students whose teachers don't know their name at the end of a school year. And yes, we have way too many students, but like, you need to know your students' names, right? One way to make that happen is saving them a lot early on. I love this as a starting the school year teacher. And then it also, I have found, if you just go from, hey, write your answer, now share with your group, you get some silence. It's a struggle in some situations. If you have them do this first and then launch into sharing as a group, it changes the dynamic. It really does. I've rarely struggled to transition into group conversation after this activity. If I jump right to it, sometimes it's a struggle, but this builds momentum. They've already just shared their answer. You might as well just explain why. And then if you want to, that provides more momentum into bigger whole class conversations from there. So this strategy is, I would say, the easiest thing it feels like to me to do, but it also just makes a tremendous impact. I was hoping that I could share it in this post, but then also in this video form, just because I think sometimes there are easy solutions to bigger problems. It doesn't solve everything, but it makes your classroom a place where students get to hear what everyone says. They get to hear their name. And I think it opens the door to better and more frequent conversations in the classroom, which more than ever is important. So if this resource was helpful, please feel free to share it in your circles, to subscribe to either YouTube or you're watching this, or to the Broken Copier. And also leave feedback. What are some other strategies that are helpful for you, especially early on in the school year, to build that culture of conversation and collaboration? Thanks. Have a great day.